ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Oscar.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And etc.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Geico, with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
It's back to work for the Bears after hibernating during the bye week, but one of the best stories in the NFL after a 4-2 start through a six-pack of games. And what we've learned so far about this football team, we're going to find out with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. This is episode 104 of the Bears Etc. podcast, and we're brought to you by Geico. Tom, good to see you. How was your bye week, buddy? What'd you do?
I just enjoyed just a little bit of time around the house. I'm having some work done on the outside, so I kind of stay here and see if anybody needs anything. And hibernating bears at 80 degrees, that doesn't happen. I think they were just rest, recovery, and getting their mind and their body ready for a second part of the season stretch.
Yeah, and that's going to be key. And just thinking about it out loud. And thanks for asking about what I did. You never asked.
You did, and I don't want to make fun of you anymore because I've done it enough on other outlets.
Oh my God, you did, huh? Yeah, I got a little getaway to the Northeast, and boy, it was beautiful. I mean, it was stunning. You had a little ocean, a little mountain, little fall leaves.
You didn't see enough countryside in London for a week straight?
No,
you drove
I
through
didn't.
Cornfields, pastures, and just some beautiful countryside for 5 days straight.
Right, couldn't get enough. But no, it felt like a recharge. Good. It was a recharge. Coming up in our weekly conversation with Bears head coach Matt Eberflus, and we'll also hear from the podium Cole Kmet, man, a very popular figure right now in the National Football League, not just here in Chicago, but we love our own here in Chicago. You played in this area your whole life, and he's doing the same thing with the Bears. And then also T.J. Edwards. It's interesting. I just thought about that, the two local guys that are making impacts on both sides of the ball at the podium today to talk about what's next over these next 6 games. And we'll get to their thoughts in a minute, but let's just talk about how each of them have played on either side of the ball. Big reason why the Bears are 4-2.
Well, we're talking about them because it's positive production. You, Jeff, you pay attention to the NFL as much as anybody in this country. And when you hear criticism, it's because of the players aren't playing well. But then when you hear praise, it's because the players are playing well. And I think that's both Cole and TJ. You look at what both of them are able to accomplish, what's expected of them, their leadership on the football team, and their production in the games. They need to be a topic of conversation because they're both doing such good things at their position.
Yeah, and the difference in the first 3 for the last 3 games offensively is clear. We talked about it in our Bears Game Night live show with Lou Canellis on Fox, our partner here with the Bears. And it's a very big difference. And a lot of it has to do with getting the ball to the weapons like a Cole Kmet or like a DJ Moore, like a now emerging Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift running the ball better. The offensive line needs to continue to elevate and give that protection. The timing of a screen pass, Tom, is critical. And what Caleb is completing, it's that small, tight window accuracy that's driving it a little bit and seeing the field.
Well, Jeff, going back to the TV show that you were talking about, I think you did a perfect illustration of the development of Caleb Williams mentally. Everybody always knew he had the physical tools to play quarterback in the NFL, but how do you adjust mentally to the process of playing football in the NFL? And when you look at the timing of his passes, they're all out of his hands. The longest ball in his hands that you illustrated was 2.39 seconds. Every one of those were quicker. And you talk about the improvement of the offensive line, the development of all the weapons that the Bears have. It's a lot because of Caleb's ball distribution is so properly done and so efficiently timed out. And I think that's got to be one of the most encouraging thing and exciting things for a guy like Shane Waldron, who's trying to develop the next game plan. And you know what you're working with now a little bit better than you did week 1 of the season.
And defensively, they're taking the ball away. They're making big plays in key situations. Yes, they got to get better at stopping the run. Certainly even Sunday against Washington, they can run the ball. They have a steady, balanced attack. I know Jaden Daniels has a rib. We don't know what it'll be like until the end of the week. I'm certain he's going to play. I think you agree. But they do run the ball, and they bring explosives to the table, and the Bears are going to have to limit the big play.
So, back in my mind when I was thinking about TJ talking up at the podium and Matt talking about it at the podium, I was thinking the last explosive run that I can remember was in the Carolina game. And I think it was the first possession they had, that it was the big run to the left-hand side of the offense that resulted in a touchdown. I don't remember a big burst run after that. So, yeah, every once in a while, the offense is going to call the right play. They're going to get a blocked perfectly, and that's going to be the end result. But up until that point, I think the defense is playing a good brand of football, and they know that they have to continue to play against the run better. That's just like looking at an offensive line that you never play a perfect game. Defensively, when you look at it from a team standpoint, you never play that perfect game, but you want to do things better and better, and I think the Bears are on that track.
All right, let's get the status at Halas with the head coach, Matt Eberflus, after his bye week. All right, thanks as always, Matt. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, every week you're locked in, so you never have to thank us. We thank you for your time. Tell me one thing, just one thing that you had fun last week at the latter part of the week with a couple days with your family that you felt you had.
Yeah, it was great to be able to go up and picked up my daughter. She's on fall break, I think they call it. And so I picked her up from school and got a chance to ride back with her, about an hour or so, and really spend some good quality time, have some good conversation there. And then we got to spend a few days with my wife, Kelly, and before she left to go see her boyfriend out in Canada. So, but she's
who's the boyfriend in Canada?
He's a hockey player. What are you going to do? But,
I love it. I love it.
No, but it's great, and he's a fine young man. But it was good. We had some good quality time, and then I spent the mornings over the weekend just looking at us and really focusing on our self-scout. Spent some good quality time there. It's good to do that by myself when I'm looking at offense, defense, and special teams for the Chicago Bears. It's good to do that. And then I just looked at other things, our upcoming opponent, division people, all those things, and really had some good quality time to do that and get my notes together.
By doing that, what is your takeaway that you're able to reveal?
Yeah, of course, it's just really about us doing the hits principle better. Our effort and intensity that we bring to every single snap, I think that needs to improve. Honoring the football, I think, has been good. I think it could be better. And then obviously situational masters, right? We want to be able to master our situations through practice and execution in games, and I think we're improving on that. And you can see that with our football team, but just do that at a better, more consistent rate.
Funny thing is, last night on our Game Night Live show with Lou Canellis and Tom Thayer, Lou was bringing up the hits principle, and I said, hey, listen, you know what? You don't hear it much anymore. You don't hear that term from the players or Matt Eberflus, and you just did right there. And he goes, well, why is that? I go, because it's expected that this is the way of life here.
Right.
And I focused on some defensive plays, and I said I could have easily picked offensive plays, special teams plays, which there was a few in there, that pointed to hustle. And it's showing up. Now, you always are going to want more because that's the way you keep that principle alive. But that being said, am I on the right track with that? Because we don't talk about it anymore. It's expected.
Yeah, I think it's just a part of who we are, what we do and how we do it. And the guys do it every single day, and it's measured. They know it's measured on every single snap, and then we point it out. The players are pointing it out. It's really ran from the inside out now. So the players are running it. Coaches just make them aware of what's going on, where we need to improve. And the guys are, we trust our guys. We believe in our guys. The guys are focused, and the guys get things done when you ask them to.
When you say the guys are running it, meaning are they holding each other accountable? Are they calling it out? Hey, come on. You got to be better here.
No doubt.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's part of that, and it's the culture through the whole team now. You can see it on offense. You can see the receivers in the backside blocking, finishing blocks, down the field. I looked at, Coleman, our center, did a great job last week with that. Tevin did a really good job with his finished points. So it's throughout the whole team.
And the Daniel Hardy sticks out to me on special teams because he's kind of done that all year. Whenever he's had an opportunity, just maybe he was going to overrun that tackle. Maybe he's not going to make tackle, but he certainly got the football. Or TJ on defense, the punch after what could have been a big gain, and then it's an 18. And it's the first play of the second half when maybe everybody's going to ease into the game. No, not the Bears.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And we got to continue to do that better because that's going to be our winning edge. When you start playing really good teams, as we get better and better, that's going to be our winning sauce that we have, and it's going to be something that we do every single day. We always say you can't live soft and play hard. So you got to make sure that you're doing that every single rep of every single day, and we got to measure it that way too.
You're also threw one out there last week that I didn't catch until later, and I don't think you've really said it at the podium with the media, but we're going to run our race. Is that kind of the theme that is simmering below the surface within that meeting room and locker room, is run our race, and why did you choose those 3 words?
Yeah, it's just important to be able to see a vision for where you're going, I believe. So, and a picture's worth 1,000 words. So in the springtime, I ended up showing them the Kentucky Derby. So because I went to it this year with my wife, and it was a fabulous time. Mystic Dan ended up winning the Kentucky Derby, but it was only by a nose. Right, it's the shortest distance between 1, 2, and 3 in the history of the Derby, in the 150th Derby. And so I brought it back to him when I was in the spring, and talked to him about running our race, and I showed him the whole race in its entirety, and how Mystic Dan ran that race, and and the consistency was there, with his jockey running the right race, but really running his race. So just tying it into our football team. It's always going to be about us and us running our race and us getting better and us focusing on us, because that's really all you can control. Of course, you're going to have to focus on your opponent that's coming up this particular week, but they're always going to, have a certain set of circumstances that you have to deal with, a pass rusher, a unique offense or whatever that might be, but it's still going to be about us and our execution.
The funny thing is, and we meet every week as well before the game to break down the pregame interview. And, I always ask you, what's the name of the game? And your name of the game is really not going to change. It may have a different feel to it. You may throw something in there, but it's almost like, if you like records and there was a scratch on the record and the needle would hit over the scratch, it's going to be the same thing. It's about us. It's really about us. It may sound boring to the fan, but that's the messaging. And you have to control your messaging as the head coach.
Yeah, I think it's important that it is consistent, and there is winning ways. All the old timers would say, don't beat yourself. That's what they used to always say, and part of that is honoring the football. Making sure you're doing a good job of not taking negative plays, making sure that you don't have any pre-snap penalties to set you behind the sticks, and that's what those guys that I came up with always would say. They'd say you can't beat yourself, so that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that how do you enhance yourself to win the game, and that's by making the plays on the other side. So creating negative plays, creating the turnovers, creating field position with your special teams, with your return units, with causing takeaways there, and that's really how you enhance your chance for victory.
And I'm always going to ask you what the name of the game is. So even if it's the same answer, I'm gonna ask you. Yep. You're down with that, right?
I'll keep saying the same thing.
All right, so. This is a cliche. I don't care when the bye week comes. Hey, what are you thinking about the bye? Is this good for the team? But I'm going to take it a different way, because you've got a rookie starting quarterback. You got a rookie number 1 wide receiver in Roma Dunze as a 9th overall pick. You've got younger players. Is this a good refresh for rookies, given what they had to go through the entire process to get here? What do you think?
I do think it is. I just had a nice meeting with Caleb this morning and ask him where he was and how he was in terms of his mind, his body, and his spirit, and where he's going in terms of his energy. And he did a really nice job of staying here and recharging and doing a lot of good things that were outside of football. And we talked about those, and then the improvements that we want to see coming forward. And I think it was a good really reset for everybody. You used to have 6 games. You get the reset. Now we got this next block of 6 before Thanksgiving, which is like 38 days till Thanksgiving.
It's crazy.
So we have, a good set of games here, with the competition. I think 4 of those teams, I believe, have 5 wins already. So it's a really good competition, and we're going to need to get better every single week during this next 6.
Yeah, I was looking at that schedule this morning thinking, oh, my gosh, Thanksgiving's almost here. But, yeah, a lot of work to be done in between. All right, so let's talk about what's next. A trip to Washington. It's a home game for Caleb Williams in a sense, because he grew up there, made himself a name in the high school game there. I'm sure emotions and thoughts, but everything that he's ever done, it seems to be he's in control. So I'm expecting that. I'm certain you are as well. Do you address it with him? Do you bring it up? How do you frame it?
Yeah, we talked about it this morning, and I just said, hey, keep your circle small, and make sure that you are doing that, and he does. He keeps it with the people that love him, and he loves the people, his support team and his family. He does a wonderful job that way, and he likes it up to be all about football. And so he's going to keep it that way. We'll have a nice week of practice. We're going to have a great practice on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, walk through on Saturday. take our trip over there and and play a good game.
And, of course, Jaden Daniels, the 1-2 matchup. That's the big reason why, I'd imagine, with the winning records as well, they moved the time of the game because this could be the beginning of a long rivalry in the NFC between these two guys, don't you think?
I mean, Jaden's a great talent, and you can certainly see what he's done over the first part of this season with his accuracy, completion percentage, his rating, all the things that are good quarterbacking, and he's done that, and he's continued to prove that every week. It's going to be a good matchup between these two, with these 1 and 2 quarterbacks, and it's going to be exciting to see.
Test for your very prominent defense as well, because they're number 1 scoring team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, very explosive, very high in the explosive play categories on run and pass. Obviously scoring at a very high rate. They got a lot of good skill on that offense. So they've done a really good job of running the ball efficiently, but also getting those explosive passes you need to score points. And it's going to be a big challenge for our D.
One of the things I noticed, I looked at their snap count, and they had 11 skill position players with at least 20 snaps in the game. So from your tape watching, do they roll out a bunch of bodies out there?
They do. Yeah. They do. They use all their tight ends. They use extra linemen. They use all their receivers. Use 3 backs, 3 different running backs. So they use the ball, and they do a good job of moving them in and out of there.
And Jonathan Allen is not there, but what's your thought on the defense and a quick sneak
Bobby
peek?
Wagner's the center of that, of course, and he's they sent a bunch of different free agents, and they good compliment to Coach Quinn's defense, and they all know the defense. A lot of those guys are working their way through it and have been vets in his defense. So you can certainly see those guys coming together.
It's certainly exciting. It's a great matchup. But again, this week and next week on the road again, you guys have been the frequent flyer team so far this year. But I'm sure it's going to harden you guys in a way too.
Yeah, it's been good. Our guys pull together. Our trip over can't go any farther than London this year. But guys pulled together. I think it was a really good stepping stone for us to be able to go over there and focus up and play a good game, for the rest of these away games that we have.
All right, Matt, good luck this week in your prep. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Tom, as you heard, a couple of things, and I love the explanation he got into about running your own race and running our race. And he unveiled that way back in the offseason. And it was all traced, as you heard, to the Kentucky Derby and how it was a very closest in 150 years. So you just got to do what you can control. And I think he's not changing his vibe, his tune, his theme at any point. Every time, as I joke to them, I'm going to ask him every week, what is the name of the game? And he's going to give us the same answers. Yeah. It's not going to change, but I'm going to keep asking in the event that maybe something will tweak a little differently for a matchup to come.
No, because the first reference he made at the podium at the first question was talking about the past 6 games and the next 6 games. He's not looking at the last game of the regular season if they're going to flex it against the Green Bay Packers. He's talking about the next 6 games. And I think that's really important because you want the players to understand, don't look at the end, just look at what's next for you. And so I think Matt did a really nice job of illustrating what he has put forth in the meeting that he had with the team, what they did accomplish in the walkthrough. They'll have a day off tomorrow, then they'll hit the field running on Wednesday and get prepared for the Washington Commanders. So I'm kind of glad that he talks in increments and not necessarily, the last page of the book when you really haven't read the middle of the book yet.
Well, it's kind of like the coach when they had a 16-game season. Lovey did it all the time. We've always heard the quarter pole, the hat, 4 quarters of a season. Now you can't quite do it that way with the 17 games in 18 weeks, but you do have to kind of keep you got to keep it small a little bit, right? You just got to have your eyes focused on what's in front of you, not what's down the road 6 weeks from now. But it is a nice package to look at because it's going to come very fast. I mean, we're talking about less than 40 days. We're going to have 6 more games.
Right. One thing that I like about Matt, what I learned from Matt today, and I didn't know, is that I got to always have that extra bucket because once that bucket's filled up, I need to have an extra bucket to fill that up as well. And it's just talk about his relationship of responsibilities throughout his career and making sure everything that you take on, you always have that extra bucket to put in what your next what you're taking on next. And so I never heard him use that analogy about being prepared for what's coming next, but I've learned it. And now the next time I see him, I'm going to ask him about it.
that was Coach at the podium today. A little bit different interview with us, which he, gets into more detail. I really enjoy our conversations. Talking about buckets, Cole Kmet filling many, and he is the reigning NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. We heard him from the podium. Let's listen in.
Special Teams Player of the Week. Ever thought you'd have that on your resume?
No, never did. Yeah, I think there might be some pretty pissed off long snappers throughout the league, but yeah, I'll take it. So pretty cool, and obviously a cool award to get regardless, and just kind of makes that day a little more memorable, I guess.
Did you go over the film on that? Did you go over?
Yeah, I just did. Yeah, I thought they looked all right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was looking at the op times; they're a little higher than they usually have been, but yeah, we got the job done on most of them, and I know that the one field goal they got blocked, but yeah, no, I thought I did all right considering I'm not actually a long snapper.
Cole, what have you seen in the evolution of the screen game as the season's going on here? It feels like that's been an added weapon here recently.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously been pretty explosive for us, and I think that starts with the guys on the perimeter doing their thing and running off the football, and they've been doing a really good job of that in the run game, pass game, and in the screen game as well. So if you keep that consistent, you're going to be able to make that secondary of the defense pretty soft and get them off the football, and it just creates a lot of space and a lot of room for the runner. So yeah, you got to give credit to those guys on the perimeter, and then obviously the offensive line doing a really good job of getting out, and I thought Caleb's had some really cool throws for screen passes this year as well. So he does a good job of making that happen, keeping his eyes downfield, like maybe it's a normal pass, and then dishing it off to the back, tight end, receiver, whoever it may be for that play. So yeah, I think it's just been an all 11 thing on those, and we've had some really good execution there, and guys doing a really good job straining to finish. No one wants to be the guy that has their dude make the tackle, and I think everyone's kind of taking them on themselves for those type of plays.
What's the next step right now for the offense after you had time to break and now get to look at what's next?
Well, we still have a lot of work to do. I think in the run game, there's still things we need to clean up. Pass game wise, there's still a lot. In our protection game, still things that we can be better at, and I think you look at the film, and there's actually some big mistakes that we need to correct that we know of, and once we go against these the better teams in the NFL, and we obviously start vying to make a playoff push here as the season continues, like we have to get those things dialed in. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to improve on, but as we keep playing here, we know our schedule is just going to get tougher and tougher. The margins are just going to continue to get more thin, and we definitely got to be on our stuff if we want to come out ahead in those type of games.
Speaking of margins, when you see the Vikings and the Lions game, I don't know if you watched it yesterday. I mean, for that to come down to a game winner and what happened for Minnesota, I mean, does that, as you size up the NFC North, does it kind of feel like this is going to be a division where the margin for execution is so razor thin?
Yeah. I mean, I think kind of what's overcome our mistakes, honestly, that we've seen the past couple of weeks that we've had that don't make it so glaring is the talent we do have, and I think we're able to make up for it at times when we have a mistake, and I think that we got the guys now on both offense and defense to make up for some of those mistakes, which is really cool to have, but you don't want to live in that world consistently, and when we go against the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, they all got equal talent to us, and that's where those margins come in. So yeah, we got to be on it, and those are the type of games that we want to be playing in, and we will be playing in here soon. And I think that's just kind of looking at that Vikings Lions game, kind of what's to come for us, coming up here shortly.
CBS takes your game now for 3:25, and you got Romo, and it's the main game in the afternoon. Does that fire you guys up?
Yeah,
or is that different?
I mean, that fires me up. I know. The guys that I was around, early in my career, whether it was like Jimmy or Akeem or Khalil, like they always talked about the primetime games. Like that's where everyone's watching you, and there's no reason to shy away from that. I know we treat everything the same in terms of our preparation, but I mean, as a player and, when you're a kid growing up, like those are the games that you watch. Everyone watches the Sunday night football, Monday night football, and you want to be on those time slots, and, those late afternoon slots are a big slot as well. So yeah, I'm pumped. I think it's a cool matchup that we got here coming up against Washington. A team that's done really well this year so far, and obviously they got a lot of talent as well. But I think it's a good matchup for us, and it's a good opportunity to kind of show what we are now on a national stage.
I mean, he's got a lot going on in the right direction. We're gonna explain why too, but
Well, first of all, he said there's going to be some long snappers around the league that aren't very happy that he made the special teams player of the week with the snaps that he made. But it's not necessarily snaps he made. It's about being prepared in instant. And you don't have a long time to go on the sideline and pass and practice 50 snaps and get everything down and your tempo ready. You got a chance to take a snap or two because he still has a full complement of plays on offense, and they're not going to take him out of the offensive lineup because now he's going to snap some extra point field goals and punts. It's about just being prepared for everything that's on your plate. And I really think that throughout this season, Cole has really matured as a tight end, as an NFL player, as a leader, as a captain. And I think when you accept that responsibility, because during the course of the week, you're the backup. Do you think you're ever going to be called to duty? Probably not. But here you are over in London, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in, man. And so go do the snaps. And he did a great job, but he also played the position of tight end probably as well as a blocking and catching as I've seen him play, maybe other than a couple times.
I brought this up in our podcast last week. I'm going to bring it up again because I think it's worth noting because, we talked about and you emphasized that the offense is going to kind of run through DeAndre Swift, right? A little bit. But I think it's a combination right now because, listen, Cole Kmet, on first down, 11 targets, 11 catches, 110, 2 touchdowns. No other player entering week 6 had any catches with double digits in that regard. Kmet on third down, 8 for 8 targets and catches. Kmet the fourth quarter, 11 targets, 10 catches, 144 yards and a touchdown. Entering week 7 in the NFL. Number 4 in yards. Red zone, 5 targets, 5 catches, 2 touchdowns. He's catching everything that's coming to him, and this is situational football that in our conversation with Matt Eberflus, he talked about, just getting better in situations. Right now, Cole Kmet is catching everything thrown in his area, which means 2 things. He's reliable and he's open, or that Caleb is throwing him open as well.
Well, you just add one more element to this because at the start of the season when they brought aboard Keenan Allen, I heard you talk so many times about what he does on third down and how great of a player he is on third down and what he's done throughout his career on third down. Okay, now you got Keenan Allen on the same side of the field as Cole Kmet. Where the defensive point of emphasis is make sure that you don't give Keenan Allen all the room he needs because that's where the ball's going to go. But who's the underneath route of Keenan Allen? It's Cole Kmet. So now Caleb Williams, he's got a kind of a primary sight line that's going in one direction. If it starts in the backfield with DeAndre, then travels to Cole and then goes to Keenan. And then Keenan had a 5-catch game in London as well. So when you're putting all these pieces in motion, because not in place, you put them in motion because Cole could be in motion, Keenan can be in motion, DeAndre Swift can be in motion during the cadence. And then you try to put them in a filtered area where the quarterback can read to them. You got a couple of the best third down weapons in the league right now.
Right, and you're asking a lot of your defense because, okay, how are you going to handle this? Because say you're going to say the Bears are running the ball well, and you're going to throw an 8-man front up there. Okay, but now Caleb's got some one-on-one opportunities out there, right, with receivers and tight ends. Or you got a line. Hey, Fred Warner's one of the best coverage linebackers, if not the best in the NFL. That's going to be a tough matchup. He's going to take away your tight end more often than not. But you're asking either a really good strong safety, and I don't know how many are there in the NFL right now, or a linebacker, or you get a nickel corner that's stuck on Cole. He's going to win that. He's rugged. He's tough after the catch. He's going to seal you off with his body, and you're going to count on the pass being accurate from this quarterback right now, and Caleb Williams. So I feel he's weaponized.
Well, let's throw DJ in the mix because when you look at DJ, Keenan, and Cole, and the only reason I'm not saying Rome Odunze because these guys have a bigger picture to talk about. These guys don't need huge windows of being open to make a catch. DJ will catch it in traffic. Keenan will catch it in traffic, and he'll use his body correctly. And Cole's a 6'6" target. And so you're not going to throw a 6'6" defensive back, 6'6" linebacker out there against him. So he is going to have an area of catch opportunity.
All right, Bears fans, Steinhoffel's a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. This Bears season, Steinhoffel's is partnering with Special Spaces Illinois to create dream bedrooms for children battling cancer. For every false start caused by Bears defense during a home game, Steinhoffel's donates $1,000 to Special Spaces Illinois. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. And we're brought to you by our good friends at PNC, official bank of the Bears. All right, let's flip it over defensively and talk TJ Edwards. Steady as they come. Sure as the day is long, you're going to get a full day's effort out of that man and more. He's been outstanding again this year with an outstanding linebacking crew. Let's get his thoughts on where the Bears are at and where they're headed.
I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? I think, and obviously we know those teams pretty well, but it's, good football being played right now. I think, yesterday was probably the first time we got to sit down, or at least me, sit down and just watch some football for a second. And it's at a high level right now, man. So we're excited for the stretch we have coming up for sure.
I know the big calling card for you guys in camp and OTAs now is we're a top 5 defense. Do you guys feel like you have reached that status of top 5 defense?
I mean, I feel like we've played well, right? Done some really good things, on all facets of the game. But I think for us, we know that we can be a lot better. It's a group that's not complacent with anything that we do, and that starts with, Coach Washington and those things. But I think, we know, and we kind of looked at some things today, just kind of reflecting on, the first couple parts of the season and what we did well, what we know we can clean up.
What specifically, if you can share with us?
Yeah. I mean, specifics, it's kind of, we'll keep that in-house. But I think just in general, giving up some big plays, I think at times, and, getting teams behind the sticks in a way is something that we're looking at too. So, I think from top to bottom, we know there's just a couple things that each group can do better, including myself. So we're excited to get things going.
TJ, at this point in your career, you've seen a lot of quarterbacks, so you kind of have a database when you face someone like Matt Stafford. Mm-hmm. What's it like when you are trying to learn a new quarterback like you'll face this week, and at least one more, I think, the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, especially in the league nowadays, every quarterback is good at certain things, and I think this kid provides a lot of challenges. You saw what he did even just last week with his legs and things like that, and I think their offensive scheme is firing on all cylinders right now. They got really good skill, a good O-line, 2 really good backs, three good backs really. He's doing a good job of kind of facilitating all that. So I think it's going to be a good challenge for us, kind of a rules game with all the things they provide up front and all the gap schemes they give you, but also have the element of him keeping the ball and doing some good things in space. So it'll be good.
TJ, every good defense has a lot of good depth. What do you think? Anything in particular about the way some of the guys stepped in, like Blackwell and Hicks and Jones, and even in front of you? Anything that differentiates them from others? Is this pretty normal, or what about with the job that they've done? What strikes you about what they've done?
Yeah, I mean, I think even just last game, just kind of seeing it, Elijah and like you said, Blackwell, Jalen Jones, guys who really stepped up, but. Since I've gotten here, I feel like it's been a group who's super excited, wanting to be around each other, and super understanding of what we're trying to get done as a defense. So it's football, and things happen, guys go down and things like that. But there's never, a blinker. There's never a hesitation with who's coming in. And I thought those guys, they played outstanding for what we asked them to do, and making plays. Black making that play and everything like that was it was fun. And Elijah picking the ball up. We'd like some more yards on the return, but it was great for what he did, and it's a fun group, so I was excited for those guys for sure.
How important the 3 technique position is for linebacker success? What's your perspective on the growth that Gervon's shown the first 6 weeks?
Yeah, those are our guys. We need them. But I think that whole unit, but Dex he's been awesome this year. I think he's came in with a chip on his shoulder, along with all those guys, but he's just shown his growth quickly. I feel like, he's able to rush the passer, and I think in the run game, what they do of anchoring those blocks and holding those guys off so that, we can run free, is huge for what we do. But I think he's shown that he can kind of anchor those blocks and then get off and make a play too, which is next level stuff. And he's got a great group to learn from with some of those guys, and you can tell that they're really starting to find their flow and get into their rhythm.
I count on his hustle. I count on him making plays.
One thing I love about TJ, I love his demeanor, because he's not overexcitable, kind of like I am, where I can make a mountain out of a molehill. But TJ is so level-headed, even-keeled. He understands what this defense has been able to accomplish, but he also understands what this defense can be. And that's what I really like about him when he does visit the podium, because he's a super clear-headed talker, and he understands what they need to do to get better. They know the weapons that they're getting ready to face in their next opponent, what they have to watch out for, and the details of mental preparation, of game planning. And he's just another guy that goes to the podium, and every time I hear him talk, he's a super intelligent, well-spoken young football player that is just a true asset to the Bears.
Total leader on this football team, indeed. Let's talk about Montez Sweat, because we talk about Caleb Williams, which we discussed in our interview with Matt Eberflus, about where the emotions can come in, going back to your hometown, where it's no different than Tom Thayer coming back to Chicago, say, for example, and he's playing on a different team, and it's a big deal emotionally, but you're the quarterback. You're the rookie quarterback, and you made your name at the high school level in Washington, and you were recruited by everybody. Got to manage your emotions a little bit, but I have no doubt that he will. He is on it 100% of the time. Caleb Williams is on it. He handles every big moment like a veteran, not a 22-year-old rookie. So what are your thoughts on that? And the same goes for Montez Sweat, who was no longer wanted by the Washington Commanders a year ago, and they sent him here at the trade deadline. First, he was angry. Then he tore it up, and he loves it here.
First, Caleb Williams, because nothing is too big for Caleb. He's seen the biggest of the biggest. He's been to the biggest college stadiums that you can possibly imagine, because I've been in those same stadiums. And he's been surrounded by a five-star celebrity crew that no one shocks him when he sees them in person. And Caleb has done a great job of developing. Has got to be super excited about going home. I've never played in a game coming from somewhere to go home, because I've always played in Chicago, whether it's the Chicago Blitz or the Chicago Bears or even Notre Dame. So that, I think it would provide me a little bit of an angst, because I'm an anxious person anyways. And I think Caleb is up to it, and he'll embrace it, just like DJ did last year when they went to Washington.
Yeah.
Montez Sweat, he's an interesting character. And for Bears Game Day Live that you'll see this weekend, he's my player to watch for the Chicago Bears, because it's uniquely enough, Montez Sweat knows every one of those offensive linemen. He knows the offensive tackle position, their weaknesses and their strengths. He knows the gives and tells and the little things that you need to know about an offensive lineman before you play your 50 to 60 snaps against them. So I would give Montez Sweat the liberty this week to line up where you want to, according to the down and distance, and let him have a little bit of that freedom where you would give Chris Jones, you would give Reggie White, you would give other guys that have come across the NFL landscape over the years, even a J.J. Watt, and allow them to rush according to the down and distance in the field position.
And maybe even inside. Now, the one guy he doesn't is Nick Allegretti from Kansas City, another local product that we're very proud of here. I've known that guy a long time. He's had a really good career, and he's doing a nice job for Washington. Inside. And you just – whatever is necessary to get your mind in a really important place to play a game, you got to do it. So whether it's the competitive angst of that situation, or for Caleb, it's the 1-2, Caleb and Jaden Daniels. They're going to be compared for perpetuity. They're both in the NFC. I mean, they may have many matchups. They may meet in the postseason a time or two. If everything goes well, they should, right? These quarterbacks elevate all boats. So it's going to be an interesting thing to track over the course of time.
It is, and that's the thing about it is they kind of bring two different sets of skill sets. Caleb is a true passer. Stay inside the pocket. Don't look to scramble beyond the line of scrimmage. Look for your first, second, and third option, maybe back to the first. And Jaden Daniels has great arm accuracy. He's a really good quarterback, a great athlete who's willing to look to run and has a little bit more RPO, emphasis on the R, the run portion of it than the pass portion of it. So, it's going to be interesting to watch their careers develop, and hopefully that we're sitting here 12 years from now talking about, God, these guys have had incredible careers. I'm so happy for both of them.
Tastes like Miller time. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. And good news, Chicago United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. Tom, as you watch games, and I bring this up because you probably watched a lot. Tom, I got to ask you this question because you watched a lot of football, I'm sure, over the weekend. What did you learn about the Bears relative to what you're seeing in the NFC North and what you saw over the weekend?
Jeff, having a chance to watch all other teams in the division while only watching 2 games since Detroit and Minnesota were playing each other, it made me think that this is one of the most competitive divisions in the league. They have great quarterback play of every team. What it also makes me concerned about is you better win every home game in your division, because it's going to be difficult to go on the road and win a game within the division. When you play on Thanksgiving Day, you play the last game of the year that it could be flexed, and it's how difficult it is to play in Minnesota. So all respect in the world for the teams within the division, but I think if they got to be looking at the Bears in the same way. So it's not going to be an easy division walk this year by any means.
No, and I think Jared Goff is playing as well as any quarterback in the NFL right now. Talk about a cool cucumber. Man, he's good. He's good right now.
He's got a great offensive line. He's got a lot of offensive weapons to throw to. He's got 2 good running backs that are really solid. And so he's not counted on to do the unrealistic. He's only counting on to play quarterback at a high level according to the assets that he has on offense.
So I was canvassing, I was watching CBS, so all the analysts before the game and the pregame show, they did break down what is now considered the best division in football, okay? The records say so, the defenses say so, and analysts said, ranked them. And I believe every one of them put the Bears in last in the division. But in the scary category, you don't want to play the Bears. And I take that as a very big compliment to the Bears and what they are capable of and where they're headed. Would you take that scary category and run with it and say, yeah, bring it on?
Yeah, no doubt about it, because, you're talking about Goff, how long he's been playing. You got Darnold, how many teams he's played on. And then you have Jordan Love, who's played a couple more games, a season or so more than Caleb. But I also heard another commentator said the best quarterback play of any division is the NFC North. So they're still talking about some of the things the other quarterbacks have already accomplished, but they don't know where Caleb's going.
Right.
Caleb could go through the roof in this last 11 weeks of the season. And then you're playing a team with the top, what do you consider the Bears? A top 7 defense, top 5 defense?
I say top 5.
Okay, top 5 defense. Now you're talking about the elevation of the game of Caleb Williams because of what C.J. Stroud just did. So now you're not saying, I got to ignore this guy. He's just a rookie. He doesn't know what he's doing yet. These kids nowadays, they know what they're doing coming in. And we've seen how much Caleb has improved over the last 3 or 4 games. That's through the roof.
I mean, Tom, you know it better than anybody. The way he's looking at defenses and going through his progressions from 1 to 2 to 3 and maybe back to 1, he's checking all those boxes already, playing and almost forcing himself to stay in the pocket unless he can't, and still making plays when he is leaving the pocket. That takes several years sometimes for these young quarterbacks. And so he in my opinion, is ahead of the game.
That's why going into this week's game, I would go up tempo. I would go as much no huddle as I could, because I would want Caleb to allow his offensive assets to go in the formation that he needs them. And you get a lot of time at the line of scrimmage to sit there and evaluate what the defense is going to try to do to you. And then you got the communication of the hand signals and everything else that you need to do. But you also have a veteran group of guys that they're kind of familiar what their responsibilities are accordingly. So is more up-tempo that you can go, I think it's better for the weapons the Bears have.
Yeah, and far less defensive coaches battling head coaches than offensive and defense. So it's a Dan Quinn, Matt Eberflus game. It'll be fun to watch. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois right here at home, having access towards healthier communities through it all. Time for the Geico Brings Your More Football stat of the day, and it's a simple one. If you have not done the math, I'll do the math for you. The Bears in the second half this season are allowing 7.5 points per game. I said that right. That's 7.5 points per game, and the Bears have not trailed in the second half the last 3 weeks. So, that's big. That's big for Caleb. That's big for just finding your rhythm offensively. It's big for many, many different reasons, and you're going to need that to play in games that are going to be super tight, super close. It's a one-score league. Yep, this week we had, I think, 5 or 6 teams put over 30 points. There were some blowouts, and Washington has blown out some teams. They are the highest-scoring offense in the National Football League right now at 31 a game.
I think if you're a football fan, and I am, and I watched the Steelers-New York Jets game, and the Steelers were getting beat 15-6, and they came back and they consecutively made a couple big plays, and all of a sudden they're in the lead by a touchdown, then they go up by 2 touchdowns. So, there's relevance to all the stats that you talk about, but if the Bears offense gets a good feel of if the Bears defense gets a good feel of the opponent's offense, you got to believe that they're going to have solid second halves throughout the season.
All right, so we're going to break down this matchup a little more in our next podcast, but we also have to look at the injuries real quick. No real detail other than Brisker's still in protocol, Tom. They got to look at Gordon yet, Tyreek Stevenson. Scott Daly, he is back on the practice field. So I think Cole's job will be taken away in terms of long snapping. They also added Jake McQuaid during the bye week to the practice squad. So anything else concern you, or anything about those updates that concern you at this point?
Well, in terms of Scott Daly, I can't have him going out there at 30%. He needs to be 100% or close to 100% to make sure that he gets through the whole game. You have to remember, in London, after Scott Daly got injured, Cole didn't have to throw back any punt snaps. And I think that was kind of relief, because that's 8 yards more difficulty added to the snap than a 7-yard field goal snap. So let's just, take a deep breath. And if he's not ready to go, he's got to be honest, because the worst thing he could do is go down there and snap one punt, try to chase the punt returner, and then, re-injure himself. So it's just a dangerous issue. So, and I think Coach Hightower, Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles, they'll make the best decision for the Bears.
Bears fans, Steinhoffel's a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. This Bears season, Steinhoffel's is partnering with Special Spaces Illinois to create dream bedrooms for children battling cancer. For every false start caused by the Bears defense during a home game, Steinhoffel's donates $1,000 to Special Spaces Illinois. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. All right, coming up this week, episode 105 of the Bears Etc. podcast. It'll drop on Thursday. We have a special guest to help break down the Washington Commanders, Tom. It is the highly entertaining Sebastian Maniscalco. We are fortunate to have this Bears fan and homegrown talent join the program. I got lots of things to ask the young man, that's for sure.
So do I, man. And I'm an older generation guy than Sebastian is, and a lot of his comedy I listen to has real relevance in my upbringing and my existence, when his comedy is really attachable to the life I grew up in.
And he's a big sports fan, and a big Bears fan. So that'll be fun conversation indeed. So we appreciate that. Look forward to that. Tom, thanks to Matt Eberflus and for your commentary as well. I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please subscribe now to the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down.